Hello viewers, my name is Adam.
And I'm Aaron.
And this is Sticky Media Productions, bringing you a movie review.
Well, this has been an interesting year. Eventually a couple of years, I guess.
Well, it's been an interesting time to be alive in.
They have all had to adjust to a new normal, and that is especially true for most studios.
Yes, and for a lot of things, the movies that had to be postponed because of the pandemic that's going around still at the time of this video. Some movies were stubbornly still went into a theatrical release, while others went into a kind of simultaneous release when it came to studios favoring their own streaming services.
That is especially true with today's review, which we're trying to go for Soul.
Now, Soul is the second major release to appear on Disney Pluses.
Well, the first one was a crash and burn when they tried to release the theatrical Mulan experience again, but live action. When they released it on the Disney Plus platform, that one you had to pay an additional $30 just to access it for free, or well, not for free, but at least access it at home while others was watching it in theaters. That proved to be a pretty
not the best choice.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Like, especially since people, you technically said that people could technically wait an additional 3 months just to watch the thing with no additional cost later down the line. But Mulan itself as a film, it already came up with a bunch of those problems already packaged up. So that's the reason why that one technically was a complete failure.
And then realizing there was other studios like Warner Brothers who was deciding to release their entire slate of theatrical movies, Disney decided to go ahead and answer it with the release of their animated feature Soul, but this time without the additional costs.
Yeah, during the time of Christmas, it was a little gift to the audience, people who already had a Disney Plus service, and to counteract Warner Brothers' simultaneous release of Wonder Woman 1984 at the time. So proved to be a lot more of a positive reception due to the fact that it wound up being a really critically acclaimed film, while also being a nice good crowd pleaser for anybody, since it was basically for free if you already had a service.
It was definitely the little gift that everybody desperately needed. But let's go ahead and go into it. The story itself centers itself around a man named Joe, who is
Joe Gardner.
Yeah, Joe Gardner, who's being played by Jamie Foxx. And he's basically a go-getter who's a teacher who teaches jazz to students at school, but has big aspirations of joining a jazz team and actually making it big.
Now, Pixar, they tend to structure their movies on essentially either this little highly climactic moment in which it's going to give off this huge emotional payoff, or they're trying to teach an audience a lesson.
And in this particular one, the biggest lesson that this movie is trying to prove is that every little thing matters and that you have to enjoy the little things in life. This is especially true for Joe, who unfortunately, right when he gets his big break, ends up biting the big one.
I know, right? From there, the story it gets into the reason why this is a Pixar film, as what Pixar tend to play around with concepts of giving things emotions or giving things character, personality, what you probably would not particularly recognize.
This is definitely true when after Joe transitions into the spiritual plane, he's met with multiple other spirits and entities in the great beyond, and this is actually one of Pixar's best achievements when it comes to animation, as far as trying to emphasize what it actually would be like to be a soul in this new experience.
Now, this is Pixar's second attempt at trying to explore what an afterlife is about, or, and this mostly the case for this film, what was before your life even begins.
Yeah, they definitely tried this earlier on when you have movies like Coco that explored what it was like in the Latin American, Mexican aspect of the undead, or at least the spiritual realm. This is a totally neutral aspect in this one, where it's actually more, shall I say, not as
generalized.
Yeah, very generalized aspect.
But it's like as the film, as Coco basically deals with the post life. This was taken. This mainly is about him Jacob getting back to his life together as he's between this threshold between life and death.
Mm-hmm.
But it mainly explores what becomes a soul before it ascends down to its physical form.
Mm-hmm. See, along his journey of trying to gain back everything he's lost, he is charged as being a mentor to another young soul who's being played by Tina Fey, and in the form of 22, who is a newborn soul who has no aspirations of being born or experiencing the joys of living.
Basically, 22 has a very nimble or very nonchalant and nihilistic view of life,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like this causes friction between the two as Joe, who at his point in time before this thing happened, he was just about to start life, and so who's like reluctantly tags along. It slowly, surely, as the movie progresses, they learn things from each other. I'll just say that.
Exactly. As the little young soul learns from for Joe just what life is all about and the experiences she gets to have with them, Joe also vice versa learns that it's not always about a bigger picture. Sometimes it's just being in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Now, before the film was finally released, there was a lot of contention with the film due to the fact that the soul features a person of color as the main star.
Yeah, this has been a big issue for multiple animations and animations out there as far as depicting an African American or any particular character that has to deal with somebody of color, not necessarily getting the limelight as say a character which is depicted to be Caucasian, but this is a unique situation in itself.
With Disney's first film animated feature to have a prominent black character, Princess and the Frog, a lot of the backlash occurred because majority of that film, the Disney princess was majority a frog throughout the whole movie.
Mm-hmm. Whereas you would love to actually to see her actually be the princess and actually go on the journey as herself instead of having to either become something else or slap on a different color or skin.
Mm-hmm.
This is in this particular film. Yes, most of this particular ride, Joe is in a form of just being a plain archetype soul. Yes, but you also get vice versa, his living body and him experiencing things by back and forth.
Yeah, so I would say that it's kind of like the flip side of things. It's quite mixed together how they decided to visually portray Joe as a character.
Mm-hmm. Or any other characters in this film that actually has one of the most largely specific of people of color, specifically the black community. I love the way that they depict many of the different facial features and characteristics of black people in this film. It's very top notch. I loved it.
And the characterization is mainly due to the supporting cast. They bring to life a multifaceted view that's really grounded and helps ground Joe as a character throughout the film.
Exactly. And one of the other highlights of this film is the score. Wow. I really liked it. You really get a feeling. The music it both helps express the story itself and pulls you in.
Now, something that I'm pretty sure what Soul is going to be studied throughout years, as years go on, is unique art direction, mainly due to the fact that how the pure contrast of the naturalistic real world that the movie presents, as well as the metaphysical abstract of the great beyond or the great before.
When you have characters like the fully physical aspects of Joe himself and other human-like characters contrast to their spiritual counterparts, as well as these guardian-like characters, which are like the curators of this whole reality, which are literally performed as simple archetype features like lines or circles. Yeah, you wouldn't think that right off the bat that these things wouldn't necessarily matter, but the way they're fluidly done and express themselves is amazing.
I would like to despite the little issue, or at least the concern of not seeing the human form of Joe Gardner throughout the film, it is a bit it's kind of ironic that I actually did want to explore more of the astral aspect of that story.
Definitely.
But going back to the music, I feel as though another thing that this film will also be studied for years is how it's presented and how, or at least how clear it is. Now, the score is composed by three individuals, two of which are Atticus Flint Ross and Trent Reznor, who's known by their Nine Inch Nails. We also they also did Watchmen, and they do some David Fincher stuff. But they're doing the non-diegetic aspect of the score,
exactly,
which is more synthesized, but that helps presents more of the sound that you don't hear, that the characters don't hear, but it's usually the traditional score that most films are basically have.
And then vice versa, you have the actual diegetic aspects of more, which is the pieces of music that the characters do hear and do feel is vibrantly presented.
And that's done by John Batiste, who is a jazz musician in himself. If you are known for Stephen Colbert's the jazz band, that's the leader of that group. He basically composes the classical jazz score that Joe plays throughout the film, as well as his band. And it really shows the difference. If you want to know a clear difference between those type of terms, there you go.
Yeah, this is definitely a piece of film that you really wanted to sit down, digest, and take it apart and see just how well it fits and works.
Mm-hmm. And at the time of this video, Soul is being nominated across the board throughout the award season. And it's already won the Golden Globes for the Best Animated Feature, and also the score itself.
Which is pretty much a highlighter that this probably going to win some Academy Awards at the Oscars.
Mm-hmm. But that being said, with Soul, it's like, for me, is upon first glance, or at least first viewing, I was just going to give this film like a good score, maybe because of how simple they did present the story.
Exactly.
But there is simplicity.
It does a lot with it. It's like sometimes you don't have to have an overcomplicated plot or story structure or character development just to understand what the film is, and actually take something away from it that actually helps you inspire to your own aspects of life, or what you want to see in other films and other storylines. And this is a concept in which Soul brilliantly thrives in.
So with that, especially the way they do it, and leaves you basically thinking about the film even more so, I'm actually going to give this film a great score.
Definitely. This is really one of those films that I can definitely sit back and actually rewatch and actually gain something new out of it with each viewing.
This is actually our first review for a singular animated film on this channel.
We plan on doing a few others, because there has been quite a few other animated adventures out there that we have watched and we desperately did like and actually wanted to get back to you guys on. So right after this, we're probably going to go ahead and tackle a few others. But as always, guys, if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And please hit that little bell down there for notifications so we can get you more content.
My name is Adam.
And I'm Aaron.
This has been Seeking Me Productions. Please make sure to comment below. We want to hear your thoughts. What's your favorite Pixar film? Still to this day, I love the first Incredibles movie.
Exactly. That's definitely still high on my list too.
But yeah, this sounds good too. Alright, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Bye.